Hey, Shawan, Eden, welcome again, my friends. Thank you very much um, for your support. Thank you for always coming back. Um, another day, another Cubase lesson. Um, I'm gonna try and make today's one short. The last one I said it will be short, um, but it was actually not that short because it went to 21 minutes. Now, let me not waste any more time. We're gonna try and keep it under 15 minutes. uh, but let's maybe make it 10, right? Anyway, let's get to it. Today we are dealing the sequencer. I'm showing you sequencer. I showed you the two buttons as to how to, get your way around, manipulate your MIDI and audio using your tools there, right? So these tools work inside this box, which is called a sequencer. I'm sure most of you know what a sequencer is, right? Without wasting time, I'm gonna start here, right? Because these are transport buttons. Each door has its own arrangement in terms of where they locate what. So in Cubase, there's your transport buttons: record, play, stop, and cycle. Right now, since we're talking about the cycle, you'll see I've created a loop, a range here. Basically, if I were to place my playhead, it means that it's gonna just cycle here. It means we've created our loop, our cycle. You will notice that there's a purple color there on top. Right there where you see the purple, there's hidden stuff there which you must know as a Cubase user. So what do we find there? Let's start outside the loop. You will see we see two colors here. We see gray, we see black or dark. Gray and dark or gray and black. Now, when you hover over the gray line, you will see that there's a pencil. When you come down below the line, you now see this thing with arrows pointing different ways, right? Now, the pencil is what you use to create a loop, right? And then, once the loop is created, you won't see the pencil anymore because the loop is already created and it's active. Now you see a hand. What is the hand for? Is for when you want to, or if you wish to, move your loop around. But the same hand is also used for extending the loop. So when you hover over the gray line there, you move to the end of your loop, you will see now you get a finger pointing. So when you click and hold, move to your right, you're extending your loop. To the left, you are shortening your loop. Likewise, if you do it at the beginning of the loop, if it's not at the beginning of your sequencer, then it means you can extend to the left and then you can shorten to the right. Right? We good. Now, what else does the hand do? You can activate or deactivate your loop using your hand. So when you hover over the loop and you click, you deactivate your cycle. But you click again, it's active, right? So now when you move your cursor down, it changes to that one with arrows. What does this one do? This one is for the playhead. So wherever you place it and click, your playhead will come there, right? Cool. I want to zoom out, my project. How do I do it? I use the same thing. I click there on the black bar and hold. Then I move my mouse either down or up. So up is zoom in, down is zoom out. So I left click and hold, and then I move my mouse down or up to zoom in or zoom out. Right, so let's just say this is my point of focus. I want to work on this riser here. What do I do? Let's say I want to place it right at the line so that it's aligned. What I'll do is I'll click hold there and then I'll move it down. Right, so let's say I see that, I needed, so it's out, I want it to end right there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come deactivate my snap, and because if the snap is on, the grid, it's going to follow the grid, right? We all know the grid means that if you have this kick here, to move it around, shift it around, like it can only move, per beat. You get what I mean? Because the snap is active and my grid is on, as per the zoom, it's on one, should I say 4/4, right? But when it's off, then it's flexible. So if I were to fix that, then I would have to remove the snap to grid so that it is flexible. Then I can just place it like that so that my riser ends here or drops here, right? Cool. We move. So that's how we would zoom in or zoom out. But if you one who prefers to work with a keyboard, G and H on your keyboard is zoom in and zoom out. So remember, with the keyboard, it will always follow where your playhead is. So you can't independently use the keyboard without still having to select with your mouse. That's why I say when you point wherever you want to zoom in, when you left click and hold and move your mouse, you soma zooming. You don't need to still have to go to the keyboard and look for the key and do whatever, you know. So that is that. So now you create an empty project, you load an instrument, right? For example, you want to do melody, program your melody, you've got a polysynth added. How do you then go and start programming your MIDI? You can choose your bar, you create your range, and then you double click on the instrument, right? So you selected your instrument that you're gonna program, you've created your loop or your cycle. Anywhere where you double click, so if there's no cycle, you click anywhere, it's going to create its own thing. But now, because there was a loop that was created, it went with that bar, right? But if there was no selection at all, it was an empty project or whatever, what it was going to do is it was just going to maybe just take this mini box and you double click, it just opens that. But in this case, if you know that I want to work on a bar, then you will create that cycle. When you click, it's going to create a box with that. Although you can go beyond, it's just if there's a loop and then you program your MIDI, once you click outside the loop, this data is no longer readable, right? So it will be there, but it won't be readable. Your data is gonna cycle. So if you, for example, want to duplicate, you will see that because there's a note that you added outside the loop, it won't be visible and it won't be readable. When you duplicate, you're duplicating what's active. So for you to then have access to that extra note that you added, you would have to extend your loop there. Then you'll be able to see the MIDI that is hidden. Anything that is outside the loop will not be readable and will not exist. So if you then bounce your data, your MIDI to audio, whatever that is outside the loop falls away, right? So take note of that. Why you would want to ensure that all your notes are within a loop, and if you're working according to the loop, make sure if anything falls outside, you can then go and extend. So how do you then extend? Is that you will see that there is this part here at the bottom, this small box, that represent the extending of your loop, right? But if I had made a selection of time stretch, then that would represent time stretch. But if we're on normal sizing, it means we're just extending the loop. And then when it comes to duplicating, then the middle box, you just click and hold on it, and then it's going to duplicate that entire loop, right? And then yeah, basically that's that. So if this was audio, for example, let's look for audio, because in audio that represents something else. In audio, you have the top part, which is fade out and then fade in. That is your sequencer, and then everything else is there, right? But on audio MIDI, the middle box represent duplicate. So our timer is done. I think I've covered the most, if not everything, that I wanted to cover on this chapter. So guys, thank you again for watching my videos. Thank you for following. We're gonna continue to load more videos. I'm gonna continue to do more. I'm going to the next topic. I'm gonna create the follow-up or the continuation from the sequencer. So look out for more videos that are coming. Please don't just watch. If you like my content, subscribe so that we can grow this community. And also, if you like the content, I would appreciate if you can also comment so that we can engage more. I get to know what I missed, what you would like to see based on what I had next. I mean, what you would like to see next based on what I had demonstrated and everything that I've done. Or specifically, if there's a topic that you want me to touch on, although I said that I want to go in sequence, when I have a series of videos that are a continuation, so that we start from beginning up until infinity, because I don't think we can ever learn everything, right? There's always going to be something that we would want to share and teach each other. So and if you've got friends who are into this whole Cubase thing, there's more guys that are coming that I'm gonna teach you, that you're gonna learn. So call your friends as well, let them know. And yeah, I guess I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much, guys.